The forbidden prison. For 1,000 years, the Black Mountain stood untouched. It rose from the land like a wound that never healed. Dark stone, sharp edges, and a silence so heavy it pressed against the chest. Birds never flew above it. Wind never sang around it. Even the sky seemed afraid to look down. Everyone knew the stories. Deep inside the mountain was a prison older than any kingdom. Inside that prison lived a dragon. Not just any dragon, but the last sky dragon. His name was no longer spoken. His history was buried. All that remained was fear. The chains that held him were made by ancient hands. They were forged with magic and pain. People said the chains burned the soul of anyone who touched them. Warriors who came close lost their minds. Priests who prayed nearby went silent forever. For 1,000 years, guards were posted at the mountain's base. Their job was simple: make sure no one ever went inside. No one ever did. Until one day, a human appeared. He came alone, walking slowly across the broken ground. His clothes were plain. His boots were worn. He carried no weapon, no armor, no symbol of power. He looked like someone who had already lost everything. The guards noticed him too late. "Stop!" one of them shouted, raising a spear. The human stopped, but he did not turn back. "I only want to see it," he said quietly. The guards laughed. They had heard brave words before. They had buried those people. "You will die," another guard said. "Everyone does." The human nodded. "Maybe." That answer made them uneasy. They watched as he walked past the warning stones, past the old bones half buried in the ground. Each step took him closer to the mountain's open mouth, a massive gate carved in a black rock. The air changed near the entrance. It became thick and cold. Breathing felt like pushing through water. The guards did not follow. Their feet would not move. Inside, the tunnel was wide and dark. Old symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. With every step the human took, the ground trembled just a little. Far below, something stirred. The dragon dreamed. For centuries uncounted, he slept in darkness. Chains wrapped around his wings, his legs, his neck. They drank his strength and fed on his anger. He dreamed of skies long gone and battles long finished. Then something touched the edge of his mind. A presence. Small, warm, fragile, human. His heart beat faster. The chains tightened, reacting to his rising thoughts. Fire gathered in his chest, but he did not wake fully. Not yet. The human reached the heart of the mountain. The chamber was vast. The ceiling vanished into shadow. In the center stood a stone platform, cracked and worn by time. And there, bound to ancient pillars, was the dragon. Even chained, he was massive. His scales were dark like storm clouds. His wings were torn and folded uselessly behind him. His head rested low, horns broken, breath slow but powerful. The human felt fear at last. It crawled up his spine and into his throat. Every part of him screamed to run, to turn back, to forget he had ever come here. But he did not run. He took one step forward. The chains reacted instantly. A sharp sound rang through the chamber. Light flashed across the metal links. The ground shook and dust fell from above. Pain rushed through the dragon's body, and his eyes snapped open. One golden eye stared straight at the human. The guards outside screamed as the mountain roared. Inside, the human stood frozen. The dragon's eye was larger than his entire body. Ancient, burning, full of rage and sorrow. The dragon inhaled. The human raised his hand slowly. His voice shook, but he spoke anyway. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't come to hurt you." The dragon did not understand the words, but he felt the truth behind them. No spells, no lies, just honesty. The chains glowed brighter, waiting for pain. The human looked at them. He remembered his own life. The wars, the lies, the people chained by fear, by power, by history. He remembered promises broken by kings who claimed they were protecting the world. Slowly, he reached out. The guards outside shouted. The mountain screamed. The air itself seemed to tear. The human's hand touched the dragon's chains. Nothing burned. No fire. No pain. No death. The chains fell silent. The dragon's eye widened. For the first time in 1,000 years, the prison did not answer fear with punishment. The mountain held its breath. and something ancient began to wake, not in anger, but in wonder. The dragon who opened his eye. The chamber stayed silent after the human touched the chains. Too silent. The dragon did not roar. The mountain did not shake again. Even the glowing symbols on the walls dimmed, as if they were afraid to be seen. The human's hand was still on the chains. He expected pain. He expected fire to burn his skin to ash. But there was nothing. The metal felt cold, old-tired. The dragon slowly lifted his head. Every movement was heavy. The chains resisted him, pulling back like angry beasts. Dust fell from his scales. His wings trembled, weak from centuries of stillness. His golden eye stayed locked on the human. 1,000 years. That was how long it had been since anyone stood this close. Kings once came with armies. Mages came with spells. Heroes came with songs about glory. All of them screamed. All of them died. This one did not. The dragon searched the human's mind. There was fear, but it was quiet. There was pain, but it was controlled. There was no hunger for power. That confused him. The dragon's voice finally filled the chamber. It was low, deep, and cracked like stone breaking. Why are you still alive? The words shook the air. The human's knees weakened, but he did not fall. I don't know, the human answered honestly. The chains reacted again, but not with light. They tightened. The dragon felt pressure crush his chest. Rage rose fast, sharp and hot. For a moment, instinct screamed at him to burn the human where he stood. One breath, one spark. That was all it would take. The human looked up. I think maybe they don't want to hurt me, he said. The dragon laughed. It was a terrible sound, broken and bitter. They were made to hurt, the dragon said. They were made to remind me what betrayal feels like. The human swallowed. Who betrayed you? The chain screamed. Pain tore through the dragon's body as memories surged. Cities in flame. Skies filled with steel ships. Humans kneeling, not in fear, but in command. They call me protector, the dragon said. Then they call me threat. The human slowly pulled his hand back. The chain stayed silent. That shocked both of them. The dragon stared at the empty space where the hand had been. You should be dead, he said. Every human who comes here dies. Maybe they came to kill you, the human replied. The dragon froze. No one had ever said that before. The human stepped closer again, his voice calm but firm. I didn't come to kill you, he said. I came because people outside still suffer. They say your prison keeps the world safe. But prisons don't protect the innocent. They protect secrets. The dragon felt something twist deep inside him. Not anger, recognition. The guards outside the mountain began to panic. The ground kept trembling, slowly now like a heartbeat growing stronger. Messengers ran. Alarms sounded. Inside the chamber, the dragon lowered his massive head until it was level with the human. Do you know what you were standing before? The dragon asked. A prisoner, the human said. The dragon's eye widened. A monster, he added softly, is what they want me to believe you are. The chains flickered. Not with power, with uncertainty. The dragon tested them, pulling slightly. They resisted, but weaker than before. The human felt it. He stepped back, fear finally breaking through his calm. You're waking up, he whispered. I never slept, the dragon replied. I waited. He leaned closer, his breath hot and heavy. And now the world sends me you. The human shook his head. The world didn't send me. I came because I was tired of being afraid. The dragon studied him carefully. 1,000 years ago, that same courage had saved millions. 1,000 years ago, it had doomed him. Outside, soldiers gathered. Cannons were aimed at the mountain. Orders were shouted. Inside, the dragon made a choice. Human, he said, his voice lowering to a dangerous calm. If these chains break, the world will burn first. The human met his gaze. Then teach me how to stop that. The chains pulsed once. A deep crack echoed through the chamber. Not from stone, from metal. The dragon felt it clearly. For the first time in 1,000 years, the chains were afraid. The truth the chains were hiding. The crack in the chains did not grow. It stayed there, thin, sharp, silent. But the dragon felt it in his bones. For 1,000 years, the chains had been absolute. They pulled, burned, and crushed without mercy. They did not weaken. They did not doubt. Now they did both. The dragon slowly pulled back, careful not to force them. Pain still flowed through him, but it was different now. Less cruel, less certain. The human stepped away from the chains, his heart pounding. "What just happened?" he asked. The dragon did not answer right away. His eye was fixed on a broken link, as if it had betrayed him. "No one has ever made them hesitate," the dragon said finally. "Not with magic, not with strength." He turned his gaze back to the human. "Only truth can do that." Outside the mountain, chaos grew. Commanders shouted orders. Weapons powered up. Old defense systems, and used for centuries, came alive again. The rulers of nearby worlds watched the mountain through screens, their faces pale. They remembered the stories. They remembered what the sky dragon could do. Inside the chamber, the human took a slow breath. "Then tell me the truth," he said. "All of it." The dragon lowered his head, the movement slow and heavy. "1,000 years ago," he began, "humans and dragons stood together. We guarded your skies. We burned away the things that hunted your worlds." The walls around them flickered. Images appeared in the stone, memories carved by ancient magic. Cities protected by wings of fire. Human fleets flying beside dragons. Children laughing as shadows of wings passed overhead. The human stared. "They don't teach this," he whispered. "They erased it," the dragon said. The images changed. Human leaders gathered in dark halls. Fear replaced trust. Whispers replaced honor. "They saw our power," the dragon continued, "and they decided it was safer to chain it than to share it." The human clenched his fists. "You refused," he said. "The dragons, I burned brighter. I refused to become their weapon." The images shifted again. A great battle. Dragons falling from the sky. The sky dragon standing alone, surrounded by fleets and weapons designed to hurt only him. "They called me a traitor," the dragon said. "They told the people I would destroy the world." The human saw the lie clearly now. "They needed a monster," he said quietly. "Yes," the dragon replied. "And I was convenient." The chains rattled, reacting to the truth being spoken. The dragon felt strength return in small, painful waves. "You could have escaped," the human said. "You're stronger than this." The dragon laughed again, but this time there was no bitterness, only sadness. "I stayed," he said, "because if I fought back, millions would have died." The human understood. The dragon had not been chained by metal alone. He had been chained by mercy. Suddenly, alarms echoed louder outside. The ground shook harder now. "They are preparing to kill you," the human said. "They always were," the dragon replied. The human looked at the chains again. "They don't just hold you," he said slowly. "They test us." The dragon tilted his head. "Explain." "They hurt anyone who comes with fear," the human said. "Anyone who comes to control you. Anyone who comes to use you." The chains pulsed softly, as if listening. "But they didn't hurt me," the human continued. "Because I didn't come for power." The dragon's breath caught. "Then why did you come?" he asked. The human met his gaze. "Because no one deserves to be forgotten in the dark." The chamber went still. The chains trembled, not violently, but like something waking from a long sleep. Outside, the first weapons fired. The mountain shook violently. Stone cracked. Dust filled the chamber. The dragon roared, not in rage, but in warning. "They will not stop," he said. "If these chains break now, war will begin." The human stepped forward again. "Then let's not break them yet," he said. "Let's change what they believe." The dragon stared at him. A single human cannot change an empire. The human placed his hand near the chains, but did not touch them. "Maybe," he said, "but a single human can remind the world what it forgot." The chains glowed brighter than ever before. Not with pain, with choice. The dragon felt it clearly now. The chains were not failing. They were waiting, waiting to see what humanity would do next. When the world chose to fire. The first strike hit the Black Mountain at dawn. A beam of white fire tore through the sky and slammed into the outer stone. The mountain did not break, but screamed. Cracks raced across the surface like veins of light. Shockwaves rolled across the land, throwing soldiers to the ground. Inside the prison, the impact knocked the human off his feet. The dragon roared in pain. The chains flared red hot, reacting not to the dragon's rage, but to the world's fear. They have chosen, the dragon growled. They always do. Outside, fleets filled the sky. Human ships hovered in perfect lines, weapons glowing, engines roaring. Commanders gave cold orders from safe distances. Screens showed the prison from every angle. Fire again. Another blast struck. Inside the chamber, pillars cracked. Stone shattered. Dust filled the air so thick the human could barely see. He forced himself up, coughing. If they keep firing, he shouted, they'll collapse the mountain. They don't care, the dragon replied. As long as I die with it. The chains tightened violently. Pain ripped through the dragon's body, forcing him to the ground. His wings slammed against the stone floor. Fire leaked from between his scales. The human ran toward him without thinking. Stop fighting them, the dragon shouted. You will die. Then stop fighting yourself, the human shouted back. The dragon froze. No one had ever said that to him. Outside, commanders watched readings spike. The dragon's power is rising. Good, one replied. Push it higher. Force him to break. Inside, the human reached the chains again. He did not touch them. He stood between the dragon and the storm of fire raining from above. You said the chains test us, the human said. Then let them see who we are. Another blast hit. The chains flashed, then changed color. Not red, gold. The dragon felt it instantly. The pain lessened. Strength returned, slow but steady. What are you doing? The dragon asked. Trusting you, the human replied. The dragon looked at him in shock. Outside, sensors screamed. The chains are stabilizing. What? That's impossible. The mountain stopped shaking. Inside, the symbols on the walls burned brighter, rewriting themselves. Old words faded. New ones appeared, clear and simple. The human could read them now. They're not commands, he whispered. They're promises. The dragon felt memories surge again, but this time different ones. Humans standing beside dragons, hands raised not in control, but in respect. Agreements spoken, not enforced. The chains were never meant to be permanent, the dragon said slowly. They were meant to wait. Outside, panic spread. They're losing control of the prison. Increase firepower. The largest weapon charged. A planet breaker beam designed to end wars in seconds. Inside, the dragon lifted his head. If that weapon fires, he said, everything ends. The human nodded. Then we end this first. He finally placed his hand fully on the chains again. This time, the chains did not react with pain. They opened. One link separated cleanly and fell to the ground with a sound like a bell ringing. The dragon gasped. Freedom rushed into him like air into drowning lungs. Outside, every screen went black at once. Then a single image appeared. The sky dragon, unchained wing, standing tall. But he did not attack. He wrapped one massive wing around the human and looked straight into the cameras. The fleets froze. The commanders went silent. The dragon spoke, not with fire, but with truth. This, his voice echoed across space, is what humanity looks like when it remembers. The planet breaker weapon powered down. For the first time in 1,000 years, the world hesitated. The silence that terrified the stars. The silence did not come from the mountain. It came from the fleets. Thousands of ships hovered in the sky, weapons charged, engines ready, yet no one fired. Screens across command centers showed the same image. The sky dragon, no longer fully bound, standing still with a single human beneath his wing. No attack, no flames, no destruction. That terrified them more than any roar. Inside the prison, the human could feel the dragon's wing trembling slightly. Not from weakness, but from control. A power vast enough to burn worlds was being held back by choice. They are afraid, the human said softly. They should be, the dragon replied. But not of me. Outside, voices argued across channels. He's manipulating us. No, look at the energy readings. He's restraining himself. He could destroy the fleets in seconds. Yes, but he hasn't. That truth spread faster than fear. Inside the chamber, the chains lay broken in one place only. The rest remained intact, glowing softly now, no longer cruel. You could break the rest, the humans said. They can't stop you. The dragon lowered his head. I could, he agreed, and that is why I must not. The human understood at once. If the dragon broke free by force, history would repeat itself. Fear would win. Lies would return. Humanity would call it survival. But if you stay chained, the human said, they'll never change. The dragon's eye narrowed. Then this is the moment, he said, not of strength, but of choice. Outside, a new voice entered the broadcast. A high commander. Old, calm, dangerous. Dragon, the voice said, echoing through every speaker, you are a risk to all life. Stand down and accept destruction. The dragon raised his head. You already destroyed me once, he replied, and the world did not become safer. The human stepped forward into full view of the cameras. Many commanders gasped. A human, someone whispered. He's standing next to it. The human spoke clearly. You built this prison because you were afraid, he said. But fear never protected anyone. It only delayed the truth. The commander laughed coldly. You speak as if you matter. The chains pulsed again, not with magic, with agreement. The dragon felt it and smiled, a slow and terrible thing. He matters, the dragon said, because the chains answer him. Outside, systems fail one by one. Not destroyed, disabled. Weapons powered down. Targeting locks released. Panic spread. What's happening? We're losing control. Inside, the dragon felt the ancient rules awaken. These chains were made with a condition, he said. They break only when humanity chooses trust. The human looked up at him. And if humanity refuses? The dragon's gaze turned hard. Then I remain, he said, and the chains will judge you. Outside, leaders faced a decision they had avoided for centuries. Fire and prove the dragon right, or stand down and admit the lie. Slowly, one fleet powered down, then another, then another. The silence deepened. Inside the prison, the chains loosened slightly. Not broken, but lighter. The dragon exhaled a long breath, filled with relief and sorrow. They are listening, he said. For now, the human replied. The dragon nodded. For now is enough. But deep in the void, far beyond the fleets, something ancient stirred. Not human, not dragon. Something that had waited 1,000 years for this exact moment. And it was smiling. The enemy that was never chained. The silence did not last. Far beyond the Black Mountain, beyond human space, beyond the reach of fleets and fear, something moved. Not fast, not loud, but with purpose. The dragon felt it first. His scales tightened. His wings pulled close. The air around him grew heavy again, but this time the weight did not come from chains. It has noticed us, the dragon said quietly. The human looked up. What has? The dragon did not answer right away. His golden eye stared into nothing, as if watching a shadow no one else could see. The reason they feared me, he said at last, and the reason they lied. Inside the prison, the ancient symbols on the walls flickered wildly. Some went dark. Others twisted into shapes the human could not read. Outside, alarms screamed across fleets. Unknown energy signatures detected. Multiple locations. No visual contact. Commanders panicked. This isn't the dragon. The human felt cold fear settle in his chest. You weren't the greatest threat, he said. No, the dragon replied. I was the shield. The truth hit harder than any weapon. The dragon lowered his head close to the human. 1,000 years ago, he said, something came from beyond the stars. It fed on fear, on control, on broken trust. It learned to hide behind leaders and systems. The walls showed new images, worlds falling without fire, civilizations collapsing from within, armies turning on themselves. They could not fight it, the dragon continued. So they chained me instead. They believed control was safer than courage. Outside, ships began to vanish. Not exploding, simply gone. Panic turned to terror. Entire fleets are disappearing. Inside, the chains reacted again, tightening painfully. They're using the chains, the dragon growled. The same fear that feeds them feeds these bonds. The human clenched his fists. Then break them, he said. The dragon shook his head. If I break them alone, it wins. A deep, cold voice suddenly filled every channel at once. You always understood too much, Sky Dragon. The air cracked. A shape formed above the mountain. Not solid, not light, but absence. A hole in reality shaped like a crown. The human felt his thoughts slow. His fear sharpened. This is what comes when humans believe they need chains, the voice said. The dragon roared, the sound shaking planets. You will not touch him, the dragon thundered. The shadow laughed. He already belongs to me, it replied. All fear does. The chains flared violently, dragging the dragon to the ground. The human ran to him. No, the dragon shouted. If you touch them now, it will claim you. The human stopped. He remembered everything the dragon had shown him. The lies, the fear, the waiting. He turned to the shadow. You're wrong, he said. His voice shook, but did not break. Fear doesn't own us. We choose it. The shadow faltered. Just for a moment. The chains hesitated again. The dragon felt it. Hope, sharp and dangerous. This is why you matter, the dragon said through the pain. It cannot touch what you refuse to give. Outside, fleets that had powered down came back online, not to fire but to shield. Ships moved between the mountain and the void. Humanity was choosing again. The shadow screamed, not in rage but in surprise. The chains cracked further, not broken, but no longer loyal. The dragon slowly rose, pain burning through him, but strength returning. The final test has begun, he said. The human stood beside him. And for the first time in history, humanity did not stand behind the dragon. It stood with him, the hand that ended 1,000 years. The shadow screamed again, but this time it was afraid. Across space, human fleets held their ground. No one ran. No one fired in panic. Ships formed shields instead of attack lines. For the first time in 1,000 years, humanity did not answer fear with destruction. The Sky Dragon felt it. Not power. Unity. The chains around his body trembled violently. Not because he fought them, but because they no longer understood their purpose. You were never my prison, the dragon said, his voice echoing through the mountain and beyond. You were their doubt. The shadow twisted in the sky, its shape breaking apart like smoke in a storm. You need fear, the human said, stepping forward. And we are done feeding you. The shadow lunged, not with force, but with memory. Images flooded minds across the fleets. Old wars, old losses, screams, failure, regret. The human felt it too, every mistake he had ever made crashing down on him. His knees buckled. The dragon lowered his massive head beside him. This is the last chain, the dragon said softly. Not metal, not magic. The human clenched his shaking hands. It's choice, he whispered. He stood and raised his hand again, not toward the chains, but toward the shadow. I am afraid, he said openly, but I choose to stand anyway. The chains shattered, not in an explosion, but in silence. They fell away like dust, ancient metal turning to light before fading completely. The Sky Dragon rose at full height, wings spreading wide for the first time in 1,000 years. The sky brightened. The shadow screamed one final time as light tore through its hollow form. Without fear to anchor it, it collapsed, folding in on itself, pulled into nothingness. Gone. Across space, sensors went quiet. The oppressive weight lifted. Minds cleared. The war that never truly began ended. The dragon slowly lowered his wings. Then he did something no one expected. He knelt before the human, not as a god, not as a weapon, but as a guardian acknowledging courage. You reminded the world, the dragon said, that strength is not control. The human shook his head, overwhelmed. I just reached out, he said. The dragon smiled, a gentle and ancient thing. And that was enough. The black mountain began to crumble, not in collapse, but in release. Stone cracked open, revealing light and sky that had been hidden for centuries. Across the stars, the story spread, not of a dragon unleashed, but of a human hand that touched chains and ended 1,000 years of fear. And from that day on, whenever humanity faced the dark, they remembered, not the fire, not the fear, but the choice.